It's your friendly math tutor, Miss C. And today we are writing equations from word problems for systems of equations. So let's go ahead and read our word problem. And then I'm going to show you how I like to break these word problems down to write our system of equations. So Arjun's family bought two different types of Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints, which cost $6 per box, and S'mores, which cost $7 per box. The family bought a total of 9 boxes of cookies and paid $56. How many boxes of each type of cookie did Arjun's family buy? So, what we're really trying to find is this: how many boxes of each type of cookie? Right? That's what we're looking for. So, as we go back and look at the problem, we're going to be highlighting the things that matter. So, when we're trying to figure out the number of boxes, we need to know the type of cookie and the cost. So, Thin Mints and $6, S'mores and $7. We also need to know that they bought a total of 9 boxes. So I'm highlighting all of the things that are important so I remember to include those when I write my equation. And we know they paid a total of $56. So here are the two pieces of information that are important. One, the total boxes of cookies matter. Okay. And two, the cost matters. So our two equations that we write are going to tie to those two things. So our first step when we are writing equations is we are going to define our variables. Now, some people always love using X and Y. Some people don't. It's a personal preference. It's up to you. I'm going to use T and S. So I'm going to use T to represent Thin Mints. And I'm going to be using S to represent S'mores. If you choose to use different variables, absolutely fine. Okay, so now my first equation. So we're going to start writing our equations. So our step 2 is to write each equation. Okay, so I'm going to write my first equation about the total boxes of cookies. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I know that Arjun's family bought exactly 2 types of cookies, the Thin Mints and the S'mores. And whatever combination of those boxes they bought, they have to equal 9 total boxes. So the way I write that as an equation is I say the number of Thin Mint boxes plus the number of S'more boxes has to equal 9. So it could be 1 Thin Mint and 8 S'mores. It could be 5 Thin Mints and 4 S'mores, right? We don't know yet, but that's what this equation is setting up for us. Okay. We also then need to write an equation tied to the cost paid because those are our two values that we have to work with. So what we know is every box of Thin Mints is going to cost the family $6 and every box of S'mores is going to cost the family $7. Write an equation around cost. So every box of Thin Mints costs $6. So I'm going to let that be 6 times T. So think about this. If I bought 1 box of Thin Mints, it would cost me $6. If I bought 5 boxes, I would substitute 5 in for T. So 6 times 5 is $30. So this is telling me the cost of Thin Mints, this term. We also need to do the same thing for the cost of the S'mores. So S'mores cost $7. And we times that by S. So this is basically saying every box of S'mores costs $7, but we don't know how many boxes yet. So that's what the 7S means. And we know that the total cost when we add the number of boxes of S'mores together with the total boxes of Thin Mints together with the total boxes of S'mores together, we know that that costs us $56. So that's what this equation is saying. And if we wanted to, we could go back up here and say this is the number of Thin Mint boxes, and this is the number of S'more boxes. All right. So now we are going to go ahead and solve our equation. So that is step 3 is solve. Okay. So And we can solve in a couple of different ways. We can solve using elimination. We can solve using substitution, or we could solve using graphing. Now, in this case, graphing isn't a terrible idea because you can only buy whole boxes of cookies. So that would be an option too. That tends to be my least preferred way because I think it takes the longest amount of time. My favorite way to solve is always with elimination. That's a personal preference. You could also use substitution pretty quickly, and I will show you both methods. So let's do elimination first. And then if you don't care about substitution, you can fast forward or end the video. So here we go. I'm going to rewrite my two equations down here. I'm going to say t plus s equals 9 and 6t plus 7s equals 56. So my goal with elimination is to get rid of one of the variables. And I think in this case, I'm going to get rid of t because it's first. There's no real scientific way about this. It's personal preference. If you want to get rid of s first, go for it. No problem. So basically, I need to do the opposite of having positive 6t. So I really need this t right here to equal negative 7t because my goal is for t to go away. And the only way that happens is if when I sum them, they equal 0. So I am essentially creating an equivalent equation because I can't just change t, I have to change the whole equation. So to get this to be negative 6t, I'm going to multiply the whole equation by negative 6. And that means that I distribute this negative 6 to every term in this equation. And I'm going to go ahead and write over here. That gives me negative 6t minus 6s, right? Because I'm distributing negative 6 to both of those, equals negative 54. Okay. And that's the only equation I'm changing. I'm going to rewrite my green equation, my second equation down below, as is. Okay. And when I do that, I get 6t, negative 6t plus 6t is 0. That was our goal, to get rid of t or eliminate t, and that's what we did. That leaves me with negative 6s plus 7s, which is just s, or you could say 1s. And negative 54 plus 56, that's the same thing as saying 56 minus 54 is 2. So what we know is we bought 2 boxes of s'mores. Great. All right, now we have to figure out how many boxes of Thin Mints we purchased. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this top equation here because it's the simplest equation. And everywhere I see s, I'm going to put in positive 2. And now I'm just going to solve for t. I'm showing you the long way. I know most of you probably did this in your head already. Okay, so t equals 7. So if we were to write this out in words, we could say Arjun's family bought 7 boxes of Thin Mints and 2 boxes of s'mores. Okay, and that's our answer. And if we plug this back in, we should get exactly $56 and 9 boxes of cookies. Now, if that's all you needed to see, great. Thanks for joining me. If not, if you want to see the way that you would do this with substitution, I'm going to show that right now. So continue watching, or I'll see you next time if you just wanted to see the elimination. So I'm going to start by rewriting our equations. Just want to make sure that's right. Okay. All right. And I probably should have done that in a different color, but that's okay. So here's what I'm going to do for substitution. I'm going to manipulate this top equation first. So I'm going to think about what variable I can isolate. And again, it doesn't matter. I'm going to choose to get t on one side, and I'm going to move everything else to the other side. So I'm going to come down here and say t plus s equals 9. I'm going to isolate t, so I'm going to subtract s from both sides. And that gives me t equals 9 minus s. All right, So then I'm going to come to this equation, and everywhere I see t, that would be right here. I'm going to go ahead and substitute what t equals. So I'm replacing this t with what this t equals, which is 9 minus s. So here's how this is going to look. Maybe I'll do it over here so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to say 6 times, and now here's what goes in. For t, I'm putting in 9 minus s. Those parentheses are important, so don't drop those. Plus 7s equals 56. If I did this right, the only variable in my equation should be s. So let's go ahead and double check that. So I'm going to distribute this 6 to every term in the parentheses. So 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times negative s is negative 6. Be careful not to drop that negative sign. Plus 7s equals 56. And now I'm going to combine my like terms. So the s's are my like terms. So I have 54 of negative 6s plus 7s is plus s equals 56. And now I just need to solve for s, and I'm going to do that by subtracting 54 from both sides. So s equals 2. All right, now I'm going to come back to this equation because I've already have that equation solved for t. And everywhere I see s, that's here, I'm going to substitute what s equals. So in this case, t equals 9 minus, and in for that s goes 2. So that means t equals 9 minus 2, which is 7. So you can see we get the exact same answer that we get through substitution. All right, thank you for taking the time to write this system of equations with me, solve them with me, talk a little bit about Girl Scout cookies. Make sure to subscribe for more videos. Till next time, remember, you've got this.